The consciousness is controlling every single piece of plastic, so it needs a transmitter to boost the signal from. Round and massive, slap bang in the middle of London, a huge circular metal structure like a dish, like a wheel. Radial, close to where we're standing, it must be completely invisible. What? What?
Earlier this year, I went on a trip to the UK to visit my British family, and while I was there, it made sense to engage in a spot of Doctor Who tourism. Much of Doctor Who is set in London, so of course there are several places in London where the show has been filmed. You can't easily fake iconic landmarks like Trafalgar Square, the London Eye, or St. Paul's Cathedral anywhere else. But even though I was pleased to come across a few Doctor Who filming spots in England's capital city, the real capital for Doctor Who filming, at least since 2005, isn't in England at all. So I took a day trip to Cardiff, Wales to see the city where many of my favourite episodes of the show came to life.
My name is Ellie Blackwood. I'm a sci-fi and fantasy writer in progress who loves Doctor Who, and today I have about 6 hours in Cardiff to find as many Doctor Who filming locations as I possibly can.
When Doctor Who began in 1963, its production was firmly based in England. However, when the show revived in 2005, BBC Wales took on the task of bringing the show to a new generation. Showrunner Russell T Davies, who helmed the show from 2005 to 2010 and from 2023 to the present, is from Wales, and so is producer Julie Gardner. With the show's production being headquartered in South Wales, filming in that area is just cheaper and easier than travelling further afield. Doctor Who is currently produced by Bad Wolf Studios, a company co-founded by Gardner that is based in Cardiff, so the show has more reason than ever to film in South Wales. Over the last 20 years, the city of Cardiff has stood in for settings from London to New York to distant alien planets, and many of these locations are within close walking distance of each other. I did consider booking a Doctor Who walking tour of Cardiff, but there weren't any available on the day I went, so I relied on the handy-dandy Doctor Who filming locations map to plan my route. The locations on the map aren't always 100% accurate to the meter or anything, but they proved a good approximation of where to find various filming sites. I also used the DoctorWhoLocations.net website for some guidance, though it hasn't been updated since 2014, so it's only useful for episodes up to Series 8. I've linked both those resources in the video description if any of you are interested in using them. There are so many filming locations in Cardiff that there was no way we could properly scope out and identify them all in the limited amount of time we had. But we did find some really cool places that made us feel like we were stepping right into an episode of Doctor Who. Without further ado, come along with me and I'll prove to you just how much of Doctor Who is literally just Cardiff. First, our train arrived in Cardiff Central Station, so we had to visit Platform 3 where Mickey arrives in the Series 1 episode Boomtown. The signage all looks completely different than it did in the episode, but hey, we still get to check it off our list. Then we walked up Westgate Street, which is where apparently Donna pleaded with Lance to get married in the 2006 Christmas special The Runaway Bride. On Westgate Street is the Parkgate Hotel, which hosted Davina McCall's interview with Ruby Sunday in the church on Ruby Road, though we didn't go inside to try to find the exact room, so I feel like we probably can't count this one. Then we turned onto Go Late Street and followed it until we got to one of the most famous intersections in modern Doctor Who. The Howells department store on this corner was used as the shop that Rose works in, and it blew up in the first episode of the modern show. In the 2023 Christmas special The Church on Ruby Road, the Doctor also saved Ruby from a snowman falling off the roof of this building. The scenes in the abandoned department store from the most recent season's episode Lucky Day were also filmed inside this building. And as if that wasn't enough, right across the road from the Howells is the Cardiff Sandringham, which was used as the exterior of the Sandringham in the 2024 Christmas special Joy to the World.
Well, I don't see any precariously positioned snowmen, and I don't think there are any impending explosions, so hopefully we're good here.
We then walked along Wharton Street, and at the intersection of Wharton, Hayes and Trinity Street, we found the location where the Santa Band attacks Rose and Mickey in the 2005 Christmas special The Christmas Invasion. We headed along Hayes a little bit and turned onto Working Street, and right here next to this window where my boyfriend decided to make a funny face at the camera is where some Autons attack Jackie in Rose. At the top of Working Street, we turned into the Queen's Arcade, which is where they filmed the shot of Jackie coming down the escalator in the episode Rose and poor Clive dies. Unfortunately, when we visited, the whole downstairs area where they shot that stuff was closed, so we had to settle for looking from above.
When we were in there, there was a guy in the barber shop that was looking at us a bit suspiciously, like, I know what you are. Say it. A Whovian.
Another big filming location sits directly across from the Queen's Arcade, St. John's Church, where Donna got married in The Runaway Bride. Apparently, there's even a Cyberman inside. But to our dismay, the church was closed to the public when we arrived. We even looped back later in the trip to see if it was open a few hours later, but no such luck. I mean, it's a house of worship first and foremost, not a museum for Doctor Who fans, so we stuck to admiring it from the outside. I'm still giving us a point for this, though. Then we walked east along Queen Street, which was apparently the location for two iconic scenes, the Ninth Doctor bringing Rose back to Earth in the Series 1 episode The End of the World, and the 12th Doctor dropping Clara off in Glasgow in the Series 8 opener Deep Breath. Unfortunately, the End of the World scene has a lot of really tight close-ups and lots of people walking around, so it's basically impossible to tell where on the street the Doctor and Rose were. The Deep Breath scene has some more waist-up shots, but they blurred the background to hell and back. Probably to make it less obvious that this scene takes place in Cardiff and not Glasgow, but it also made it impossible to tell where exactly they filmed this bit. I'm going to give us half credit for each of these scenes, so 1 full point. We took a quick detour up the Friary to find a spot where the 10th Doctor, Jack and Martha were walking in the opening of the Series 3 episode The Sound of Drums. Then we had lunch at a cafe, which we thought was the former site of the hotel where they filmed the restaurant scene in Deep Breath. However, while I was going over the script for this video, I encountered some sources that suggest the scene was actually filmed in the nearby still open Leonardo Hotel, so I can't guarantee that this one counts. We took a short detour down Churchill Way to find the statue of a family that was used in the ending montage of the Series 3 episode Blink. Then we headed up Park Place, right past the Leonardo Hotel that may or may not have hosted the Deep Breath restaurant scene, and ducked into Crockertown Lane, which is where young Melody Pond regenerated at the end of Day of the Moon. We were especially pleased with our location hunting skills for this one, because we were able to squint at the curb and work out exactly where the actors were standing. And in a demonstration of just how close all these locations are, on the very next street corner we found the new theatre, which was featured in the Series 1 episode The Unquiet Dead. And directly across the street from the new theatre is the nightclub where the 15th Doctor danced in the church on Ruby Road, which is apparently also right next to, and maybe even on the same property as, the now closed cafe where Sylvia Noble encountered the adipose in Series 4's Partners in Crime, though we didn't get too close of a look because we had to keep moving. We continued up Park Place to find an absolute holy grail of Doctor Who filming.
Welcome to the mighty Musée d'Orsay, and the National Gallery, and the inside of a passenger forum, and Van Statten's archive. Okay, it's the National Museum of Wales.
The National Museum Cardiff has been used as a location for tons of Doctor Who episodes. It stood in for the Musée d'Orsay interior for the heartbreaking ending to Series 5's Vincent and the Doctor. We found the stairs used in that scene, though the statue of Perseus from the episode itself had been switched out for a different one, perhaps for refurbishment or something. We also tried our best to find the specific gallery they used for Vincent's exhibition without any luck. Several of the galleries were closed for renovation, so I'm sure it was somewhere in here and we just didn't see it. However, we did find the gallery that stood in for the National Gallery when Clara and the 11th Doctor view Queen Elizabeth I's credentials in the 50th anniversary special The Day of the Doctor. Another very obvious filming location is the museum's lobby, which stood in for the International Gallery when Lady Christina de Souza stole the Cup of Athelstan at the beginning of the 2009 special Planet of the Dead. You can even see the same statue from Vincent and the Doctor in the background of this scene. The National Museum is also the same museum that Amelia and her aunt visit in Series 5's The Big Bang. And yes, you can see that same Perseus statue in the background. The museum acted as the exterior and foyer for Lazarus Laboratories in Series 3's The Lazarus Experiment, as well as parts of the 3W Institute in Dark Water from Series 8. The museum was also used for Van Statten's museum in the Series 1 episode Dalek, but we didn't see anything that looked super familiar to that episode as we wound our way around because the displays and decor were relatively new. We did learn some interesting stuff about Welsh natural history though. Right next to the museum is City Hall Road, where Danny Pink got hit by a car in the Series 8 finale Dark Water.
So let the record show that I was very silly and wasn't looking where I was going, and I did almost get hit by a car right where Danny Pink got hit by a car. Luckily they slowed down because it is a very small and very slow street. So I'm still with you guys. I'm not a Cyberman.
And the park that Danny was exiting from, Alexandra Gardens, also contains another of the statues that was shown at the end of Blink. In the Series 3 episode The Last of the Time Lords, this was also the park where Martha gives Professor Docherty some flowers. Right next to the park on Museum Avenue is the main building of Cardiff University, which stood in for St. Luke's University in Series 10. Side note, Free Palestine. Now commenced a bit of an ill-advised detour. See, I'm a massive book nerd, so I really wanted to see the Blackwell's bookshop where the 10th Doctor went to see Joan Redfern's descendant signing books in The End of Time Part 2. The bookshop was inside the Cardiff Students' Union. I say was because it turns out it was permanently closed! At least while I was looking for the Blackwells, I got to see the outside of the Sherman Theatre, where Susan Triad gave her presentation in The Legend of Ruby Sunday. This detour wasted about 20 minutes in a day that was already super short on time, and not only did I not find what I was looking for, I had to be sad about a bookstore closing. I'm so mad about this one that I'm going to give myself half a point for the non-existent Blackwells and half a point for seeing the outside of the Sherman. On our way back past the museum, we saw the outside of the Reardon Smith Lecture Theatre, where we see the 12th Doctor teaching throughout Series 10. Then we headed to the magnificent Cardiff Castle. We had to climb the stairs to the top of the castle mound just for the view, of course. But the locations we came to see were in the house, in the rooms known as the Castle Apartments. The Series 9 episode Heaven Sent used some of the rooms in the house for the inside of the Doctor's confession dial. This includes the stunning Arab room, also known as Room 46 in that episode, as well as the banqueting hall, where we see a shot of the 12th Doctor running. And the castle's library was used as the TARDIS library in the Series 7 episode Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. I believe there are some corridors elsewhere on the castle grounds where episodes such as The Rebel Flesh and The Name of the Doctor were filmed, and the castle is so cool in its own right that we could have easily stayed another hour or two. But we had some more locations to get to. We headed out onto Duke Street and went down Womanby Street to find a little alley where the TARDIS lands in the Series 1 episode The Empty Child. We also got a glimpse of Principality Stadium, whose corridors have been used for everything from Van Statten's bunker in Dalek to River Song's Stormcage prison cell. Turning our attention further to the south, our path to our next stop led us down Bute Street and onto Loudon Square. This area features the block of flats where they filmed Ruby's Place in 73 Yards. On the corner of Loudon Square and South Loudon Place is in fact where Pete Tyler got hit by a car in the Series 1 episode Father's Day. But do you know what else it is? It's the place where Rose, Mickey, and Jackie opened the TARDIS using a big yellow truck in The Parsing of the Ways. I was thrilled to find that it looks instantly recognizable in real life, but more than that, I can't believe the show had the audacity to film two pivotal scenes in the same season in the exact same spot, and I didn't even notice. I believe that's actually Ruby's block of flats from 73 Yards in the background. Additionally, right next to this spot is a playground that has appeared in a couple of episodes, including Army of Ghosts from Series 2 and the Zygon Inversion from Series 9. I didn't get too close because there were children playing there and I didn't want to be a weirdo filming kids, but it was cool to see it from afar anyway. Then we left Loudon Square and continued down Bute Street, ducking into West Bute Street where the road splits. Here we found an old bank that was used as the police station exterior in Blink. And at last we arrived at Cardiff's Mermaid Quay. This is where the 9th Doctor and Margaret Slitheen had their date in the Series 1 episode Boomtown, though I believe the restaurant they eat at is one of the ones jutting out into the bay, whereas the steps they run down after the rift starts causing an earthquake are actually a series of stairs on the boardwalk itself. We're about to hit a spoiler for Torchwood Season 3, so please skip to this timestamp if you want to avoid it. Ready? Spoilers ahead. Of course, we had to pay a visit to Yanto's shrine. My boyfriend and I are in the middle of watching Torchwood, but we hadn't gotten to the bit where Yanto dies yet, so he was unfortunately quite devastated to see this. And finally, we ended up in the magnificent Roald Dahl Place next to the Wales Millennium Centre. Obviously, this is a major setting in Boomtown, but it features in more Doctor Who episodes than you might think. For starters, the exterior of the Musée d'Orsay in Vincent and the Doctor is actually just the front of the Millennium Centre with a bunch of CGI over the top. And the Millennium Centre foyer served as the inside of the hospital in the Series 2 episode New Earth. The Series 8 episode Time Heist features a heavily edited shot of Roald Dahl Place standing in for the exterior of the Bank of Carabraxos. Roald Dahl Place is also where we see Jack Harkness running to catch up with the TARDIS in the Series 3 episode Utopia. And in that series finale, The Last of the Time Lords, the Doctor and Martha bid farewell to Jack on the steps next to the Millennium Centre. That brought our final locations tally to 43, or an average of 1 location visited every 8 minutes. Before we left, of course the entrance to Torchwood is inside the water tower, so I had to spend a few minutes working out which of the flagstones was the secret entrance to Torchwood. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's this one. Can I come into Torchwood yet? Please? And so, after 6 hours and 27,000 steps according to my boyfriend's watch, our trip was finally over. I could have spent so much longer in Cardiff taking in the sights and hunting for more Doctor Who filming locations. Aside from the obvious draw of being the home base for my favourite show, it's a lovely city in its own right, with plenty of history to explore. Alas, we had a train to catch, but I'll definitely be back someday. Were you surprised by any of the behind-the-scenes facts revealed in this video? Have you ever visited any Doctor Who filming locations? Have you ever been to Cardiff? Is a trip like this on your own bucket list? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe to my channel for more video essays about Doctor Who, books, and science fiction. Also, subscribe to my monthly newsletter to keep up with all my projects and content and get access to my videos 3 days before anyone else. The link to that is in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.